But I actually came across, I was looking at X, I think it might have been last night when I found some of the stuff. And there was actually a really interesting question that I saw. So I was curious to see what you have to say about this. So it was something along, I'm paraphrasing, it was something along the lines of if you had to bet your life on an athlete to make a clutch play, and you can pick pretty much like any sport. And I don't think it matters timeline like they could be in the past or currently playing.
Hmm.
Who would you pick that if you had to bet your life on an athlete making a clutch play and your life's on the line? Who would you pick and why?
Good question. Probably first thing that comes to mind here for me is Wayne Gretzky, just because I feel like during that era, and even now, I mean, he just now had his goals record passed for the first time in how long, but
Hmm.
even if you include all of his assists and his total points, like he's so far and above anybody else that's anywhere near him in the record category because he was that good and he got it done obviously every night. And so I think it was a different game back then, but he obviously, was he's the greatest. He's considered the greatest hockey player of all time for a reason, and it was because he was a beast and he would give his team the chance to win at all times.
So I don't know a ton about. I know who he is. Obviously, I don't know a lot about his career. But do you know like was he considered or would people consider him a pretty clutch player? Like if the game's on the line, like is he one of those guys or was he more of just like all around? You
Um,
know.
I would say my first thought to that would probably be just that he was all around great. Um, I just looked up a random website, and as of 2021, so this is a little bit older now, but he was either in first place or tied for first place for 61 different NHL records. So like that's how good he was. Just like any stat you can think of, he was just number one in. So I do
Damn.
think that he was clutch, but also I think he was well rounded and just good at all times, and not just when the game's on the line.
Hmm.
But I'll stick with hockey if you want to go with clutch. TJ Oshie. I don't know if you remember that Olympics that went to a
No.
shootout. The TJ Oshie, basically, when you get to a certain point in the Olympics, you can just have whoever you want shoot. And so he shot like 4 or 5 times in a row in a shootout and ended up winning because he just kept scoring. So yeah, and,
So
and I know, I already know, let me guess, you're going to say Michael Jordan, and everyone's going to be in our comments about Michael Jordan, clutch this, 6-0 in the finals that. I think there's a lot. I mean, obviously he is a clutch player. I'm not denying that he is, but I was trying to think more outside of the box because I think that's the first answer that so many people would give. But let me hear what you have to say. I don't need to assume.
yeah, what the hell? It just makes assumption instantly.
Go ahead. Tell me it's Michael Jordan.
No, so that did cross my mind, and that obviously I think is kind of the cop out answer. Not gonna lie, but I was actually thinking Kobe. That
Hmm.
was the one that I was gonna say. That's not as I don't want to say it's not obvious because I think some people would also say that, but I just think that he was also like he was just cold blooded, man. Like if you give him the ball, you know what I mean, with the game on the line, that dude's he's going to do whatever it takes. I mean, the fact that he got, I just still remember, and I know it's not clutch technically, but like maybe it was clutch. I don't remember the exact details, but when he like got hurt, tore his Achilles, literally just got up and then shoots free throws and then
Yeah.
walks off. I was like, oh, okay. Like that's just a cold man right there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously, I would put both those guys far and above LeBron. I think LeBron's the greatest basketball player of all time, but I don't think he's clutch. I think that those two guys are way more clutch than him. And another name that comes up when I think about clutch basketball players is Reggie Miller. I don't know if you thought about that at all, but I just remember my buddy Jordan. I wasn't super into basketball when I was younger, and then kind of roommates in college kind of got into basketball for a hot minute there. And now I'm kind of hot and cold on it. I love the playoffs, but I don't watch all regular season.
Hmm.
But I'll never forget when he showed me. I think they played against the Knicks, and he scored like 8 points in like 8 seconds or something crazy. Like he just kept stealing the ball and shooting it and making it. And I was just like, dude, what the hell? And then they end up winning the game. Like, I just think that's just one of those crazy sports things. So I think, there's a lot of clutch players out there, and it's always fun to hear people's interpretation on that. But Kobe's a good one for sure.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to think of like other sports because I mean, there are people that are clutch in football, but I think it's such a team sport that like
Hmm.
the default answer is always the quarterback, right? Like it's the quarterback who's going to throw that pass and,
Right. Like
make
Tom
the
Brady
whatever
coming back
play.
from whatever that deficit was in the Super Bowl with the 49ers down
Yeah.
by like 20 something points. And you
Yep.
can talk about maybe like
But
Jerry Rice being one of those guys if you want to get outside of the quarterback or,
yeah.
um, but yeah, I mean, I agree. It's harder to say. It's not like you can just put the ball in the hands of somebody in football as easily as you can in like basically any other sport and just have one person take care of the business.
So that was a good one, and then there was one more I wanted to ask because I was just in the Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it,
Twitter.
sports, yeah, Twitter. I was in like the Twitter. What do you call it? Like the deep when you're like deep into something. What is it called? A rabbit hole, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. You were deep
Like
in the algo. So
yeah,
sorry, man. I think I told you this beforehand, but I'm unwell right now. I've got like a respiratory thing, so I might talk funny tonight or get out of breath, but we'll make it through.
it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, I know you're on the mend. You're getting there. So
Yes, sir.
the other one that I came across that I thought was super interesting in the rabbit hole of Twitter was what athlete right now is closest to becoming like the next GOAT in a particular sport. And don't say LeBron because that doesn't count.
He's already
Just
there.
I'm saying like more like right now, you know what I mean? Like they are maybe not at well, I don't know. I mean, they could be at the end of their career, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think that's the premise of it.
I think my first thought goes to Patrick Mahomes with the early career success that he's had and just how well-roundedly good and consistent he's been. I know they just had really their first bad year since he's been kind of the man there. And it wasn't really his fault. Obviously, the team had all kinds of deficiencies. They had a beat up offensive line, no running game, whatever you want to say. But he, for part of the season, was still putting up MVP esque numbers. He's on pace to potentially pass Tom Brady for Super Bowl wins if they can get back in the winning category. And he kind of looks like a combination of all of the greats when you think about guys like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady and like a lot of these players that played kind of in the era before him. He's got like the mobility and the athleticism of some of those guys. He's got the arm power of maybe not quite the arm power that Aaron Rodgers has, but he's aggressive and fearless, but also can be calculated. And as much as I don't like to hold on to the people who are, in my opinion, sometimes always in the spotlight, but Patrick Mahomes is that guy, and I think he does deserve the praise that he gets, even if I hate rooting for his team.
That's fair. Like that's a good overall, especially like you said, pretty still, generally speaking, early in his career. I am curious though what the second half of his career looks
Hmm.
like because either the Chiefs get better and he has more success or he goes somewhere else or you know what I mean? Like the second half of his career flops.
Yeah.
I have no idea. So I am really curious to see what happens next for him in general.
Yeah, and coming back from an injury too. That's not
Yeah.
that's not a thing that I feel like he's been mostly healthy in his career, so
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to remember, was it like a knee injury?
he
Was it
tore
an
his
ACL?
ACL. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's rough. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's definitely a mobile guy, but I don't know if ACL is as detrimental for a quarterback. What do you think? Like for a running back, it's pretty bad, I think, obviously, but quarterback is more like
It
I
just
can be.
depends. Apparently I just looked at this. He tore his LCL also, which
Oh,
is one of the tendons that I tore in my big knee surgery. But yeah, I mean, I think it really just depends. From my experience going through it, it really depends on how quickly you get into surgery
yeah.
and how rigorous, how vigorous your rehab is, and how motivated you are. And I will say that with these athletes at this level, getting time to surgery is no big deal. They're going to get right into medical care. They're going to have access to the best physical therapists that you can really have. And I don't think they lack any motivation if they're superstars at this level. So, yeah, I think, barring any setbacks, which could happen really at any point in time, I think he'll be fine. But I
Mm,
guess we'll see, to be determined. And with the LCL, and I don't know how severe these tears were. I don't know if they were partial tears, full tears, things like that. But it'll be interesting to see if he can move as quickly laterally after this. Yeah, I think if they got in and had a successful surgery early enough, he could really be back to close to 100% potentially by the start of the season these days.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they certainly have the resources to do rehab, at
Hmm.
that level. So I'm sure they have access to crazy doctors and all sorts of medical, all sorts of
Machinery and
stuff.
technology and all that crazy
Yeah.
shit. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't have that stuff. I had a giant brace on my knee, and then COVID hit right as they were like going to start sending me to the gym, and I was on my own.
You're like, well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Um, the two people that come to mind for me, I think one of them is not nearly as close. So like it's kind of a long shot answer, but trying to kind of crystal ball a bit. But for basketball, I would say it would be Wemby. I know he's very early on in his career,
Hmm.
but if that guy is able to stay healthy and continue to play at the rate he is, like just from how freakish he is athletically and like how unique of a talent that guy is, I mean, in my mind, he could, I don't want to say he's not going to be the GOAT of all of NBA of all time, but I think he could definitely be like a top 10 of all time if he continues down the path.
What about Scottie? Was that going to be your number two?
Yeah. Which he still has a long way to go, but he's on the path currently right now. Like he's on the path if he keeps playing like this.
Let me ask you this, because I don't think this question gets asked very frequently, but I've seen it a couple of times. Is Tiger really the GOAT of golf?
There's a big argument. It's honestly kind of like the Jordan LeBron argument. It's between Tiger and Jack Nicklaus.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
Jack Nicklaus has more majors. I think he has more wins, or they might be tied or something like that. But he has 3 more majors than Tiger, so everybody says that he's technically the real GOAT. But also, I mean, again, he played in a different era, so I don't know, man. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, are you going just off the statistics of how many majors? Is it how
Hmm.
many wins? Like golf, you may be measured a little bit different since it's an individual sport versus a team sport.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing. I remember when I've seen this debate before, it's talking about how Jack was like the best golfer ever and for majors, but Tiger's the best golfer of all time, probably overall. And I think
Hmm.
again just did a quick search here, but Tiger had a much higher win percentage than Jack did when you look at just overall wins. It is tricky because I almost think that the championships argument carries more weight in an individual sport than in a team sport
Oh,
in my mind.
yeah.
Like, I think the thing I think is bullshit about the championships argument is that, like, Jordan did it with Pippen, right? LeBron carried Matthew Dellavedova's sorry ass to the finals, and then lost there to a stacked super team in the Golden State Warriors. Like, how is that a knock on LeBron? He carried this sorry ass team all the way to the finals that had no business being there, and people act like because he lost once he got there that makes him worse for being there. They would rather he just never made it at all. Statistically, that makes no sense to me. And so it's like, when you look at Jordan's 6-0 finals record, he had teammates that were good, that were great. And LeBron has had teammates that were good and great when he's won too, but he's also carried some really sorry teams through the playoffs and almost won. So it's just an interesting thing because, like, if you only care about championships, then you can't ever say that Tiger's the GOAT. But I think it's a pretty big consensus that he is, right?
Yeah, well, there's also recency bias, to be fair, because Tiger he played way more recently. And so many of the people who were around when Jack played are probably either, super old or
Yeah.
not here any longer. And so I bet you a while ago, maybe there was more, I would say that would side. And I don't even know, actually, maybe people would side Jack based on the statistics. But the one interesting part about the whole thing in general is, like you said, yeah, golf is in an individual sport and
Hmm.
basketball is not. I think the thing that you can't really measure, there's not a great way to measure this, right? It's not, so this is not like an objective thing,
Hmm.
but it's like, what did they actually mean to the sport and how did they help to transform the sport? And I think, don't get me wrong, when we talk about golf, Tiger was like so unique just
Hmm.
because of how he played and like he worked out. Like, I mean, if you look back at the history, like he was like a super skinny lanky dude, and then he started working out and became like jacked. And no
Yeah.
one in golf worked out at that time. Literally, like nobody ever worked out. And so he just became like an icon. And so that's where I also think there's some of the non-measurables. And I think people would say the same thing when it comes to basketball. And I think it's the same thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still think it's the same thing for LeBron. Like, obviously, he helped to change a lot of things in the game and change how people looked at it. But I think Jordan also just did it before him. And it
Hmm.
was at a time when there was like no social media, no, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just different time periods. So I think that that's part of the people mix it into the argument, but you can't really measure it. It's like not, I don't know, it's like hard to measure.
It is, well, different eras in the game too. Like the game has become soft over time, and LeBron plays into the softness of it, just like every other star right now does. People are always like, "Oh, the flop." Yeah, and James Harden flopped more than anyone I've ever seen when he had an MVP year. And Russell Westbrook has flopped his time, and Shea is flopping like freaking crazy right now and winning MVPs. And so it's like, yeah, I mean, LeBron played the game the way that the game is played right now, and that's not a sexy thing to see. You don't want to see grown giant athletes flopping on the ground like little wusses, but he's playing in a way that the game is being played and giving his team a chance to win, because that is unfortunately what the game of basketball is. And people are always talking about how soft he is and how he would have never made it back then. And I have to wholeheartedly disagree with that. I think that he is a freak athlete. He's a gigantic dude, and he would have had his way with those little men back then if he played in the era where aggression was a little bit more tolerated, because he has the physical attributes to succeed in that.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying it's like so hard to measure some of that. You know what I mean? Obviously, the statistics are the statistics, but like the other stuff is what's hard to
Yeah.
measure. And that's where I think it becomes a lot more subjective of like, what do you prefer versus what do I prefer?
Yeah, and I'm a lot more open to that argument than 6-0 in championships. Yeah, and also only went to 6 championships. You want to talk about
Yeah.
that? No, you just care that he won the ones that he went to? Okay.
Well, the
You,
other the other the other interesting thing with both Tiger and Jordan is like they also lost a chunk of their career. You know what I mean? So like Tiger, I mean, like almost like the second half of his career because he got hurt and he kept getting hurt. And then obviously he had some,
all the
you know,
controversy and
yeah, scandals and all that. So, I mean, he lost like how many years? Like he
yeah.
could have potentially won like 30 majors if he would have kept going at the rate.
Yeah, I mean, if he only
And
needed 3 more to tie Jack and he missed that many years, then absolutely I think he probably would have if he never had that time off.
yeah. And I know, I mean, Jordan's was like a choice. Yeah, right. He like left to go play baseball for whatever reason. But like he also left in his prime. It was like super weird. Like,
Mhm.
could he have won 3 more championships? I don't know. Maybe. I mean,
Maybe.
their team was that damn good. So
Yeah.
it kind of makes you wonder.
Just really quick, the other thing that irks me all the time, and people on TikTok always say this shit, but people act like Jordan wasn't part of a super team. They're always like, oh, LeBron super team. I'm like, bro, there was a time where Jordan had Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman on his team. That is a better big three than LeBron James has ever had. So
Yeah.
just
I mean,
want to throw that out there.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. It was an interesting question, so I figured I'd bring it to the table.
It's a good question. And while we were debating this, I just looked up some of the notable stats for Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus, which is really what we were actually discussing. And we
Mhm.
kind of just, we went on our sides as you do when you're having bar talk, right? But as you said, Jack has 3 more major wins. Tiger actually holds the all-time, and he's tied with Sam Snead, the all-time wins record. So he's
Yeah.
actually won more times than Jack by 9 wins. But I think the crazy thing about that is that Tiger has 9 more wins on like 220 fewer plays. Like Jack played like 220 more times than Tiger, and Tiger
Yeah.
still had 9 more wins than him. So that's like a pretty notable statistic there. And so Tiger, 22% of his PGA starts he won, and Jack only won 12% of his starts.
Which is actually crazy if you think about how infrequent guys win on the PGA Tour
Yeah.
in general. Like
Yeah.
some guys literally win like once their whole career.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, that with those stats, that means Tiger won more often than 1 out of every 5 starts, which is absolutely insane. Like,
Yeah.
You're just telling me this guy goes out and wins once a month? Like, that's crazy to me.
I mean, like I said, I mean, the one year I think it was 2000 or whatever, 2002, so one of the years. I mean, he literally was in the top 5 like everything he played, or top
Yeah.
10 or top 5, like,
And
which
he
is fake.
and he had 142 consecutive cuts that he made. That's insane. Dude just didn't
In
take
a
a weekend
row?
off. Yes.
Jeez.
Yep.
Wow, we thought it was crazy when Scottie made, like, what was it, like 10 in a row, or no? No, that wasn't cuts, sorry, that was top 10s.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about cuts. Yeah.
Okay, okay, yeah, that's, yeah. I mean, that's why I'm saying I feel like also that, like you said, I mean, he obviously he didn't play half his career, but the rate that he was at was like, "What is this? This is fake."
Yeah. You got him in he's in the DraftKings fantasy list every Sunday. He's still playing. It's You just can't beat that.
I mean, it's I don't know, man, it's crazy. But did you see the big NFL trade news that came out this past week?
With I saw the Montgomery trade. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. So David Montgomery got traded from the Lions to the Texans. And it was kind of interesting because I saw some reports that were, and again, it's media, right? So you never know what the heck's right or what's wrong. But
Yeah.
I thought I saw some stuff saying that there was some implications from him that like he wanted to stay in Detroit, but then there was other reports saying that he definitely wanted out. So I'm like, I
Interesting.
don't, I don't actually know what was the real story, or it was just like people trying to clickbait about it.
It might be. I mean, I had only seen that he wanted a trade. I hadn't seen anything otherwise, and I actually have been seeing this for a while. For at least a month, I've been seeing this kind of thing like circulating. So yeah, if he actually said he wanted to stay, I hadn't seen that, but that would suck if he wanted to stay and got traded anyway.
Yeah, I don't know if they would have traded him if he didn't want to leave. That's kind of like for what they got like a fourth round pick, an offensive lineman, which I'm not really familiar with, this Juice Scruggs, and then a seventh round pick. So I'm just like, that seemed kind of like I mean, I know you got three things out of it, but that seemed kind of like a weird trade. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
running backs are weird though. Like once they hit a certain age, they kind of fall off a cliff, and I think that age is like 30, and he's about to
yeah,
turn 29, so he's kind of close to like. I'm not saying he will. Some of them don't. Like Derrick Henry's still doing great. Well,
yeah,
actually, Derrick Henry had a down year too, but he played great in the stretch at the very
yeah.
end.
That's true. Yeah,
But yeah, but like David Montgomery, I think is a guy that's got a bunch of miles on him. He's played a lot of football, and it just seems like after a certain number of carries slash age, that running backs just kind of fade into obscurity. And I don't think he'll be obscure. I think he's still got a couple of years left, but they might have been at that point where they were like, well, we have Jahmyr Gibbs and we want him to be the workhorse. Let's get some sort of a return on David Montgomery, especially if he wanted to leave. Let's also give him what he wants because he's been a big part of their offense for a few years.
yeah. So do you think that Gibbs's fantasy stock is going to make him like a top 5 pick next year?
I think it already was. I mean, last year they had Montgomery on the team and Gibbs still soared over him. I think
Yeah.
the thing that had happened in previous seasons is they kind of had more of I wouldn't say 50-50 split, but it was closer to 50-50.
Right.
And I feel like Montgomery would get a lot of the short yardage touchdowns instead of
Yep.
Gibbs. And
Yep.
this past year, it didn't really feel like that was happening as much. It felt like Montgomery was truly just like their second running back, and Gibbs was the primary focus. So
Yeah.
I actually think his stock was already super high, but I do think this solidifies it in that high position. Unless they do something weird, like if they go draft a running back or something, then I won't feel that way. But I doubt that. I doubt they're going to take anybody super high at running back while they have Gibbs. Like they're not going to go after they're not going to trade up to get Jeremiah Love or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I doubt it. I mean, especially with the age that Gibbs is, he's so young. But you know who would be a great pick for the Lions? And I'm not the GM and I don't make these calls, but you guys, if you're out there listening, check out Noah Whittington out of Oregon.
Okay.
Think he'd kind of be like a nice 1-2 punch for that, how the style that they've had. And I mean, excuse me, I'm choking. He kind of has a similar explosiveness to him like Gibbs, but he is like he will like run people over. So he's not like a power back like Montgomery, like a short yardage guy,
Hmm.
but he can catch the ball, and I bet you he's not going to go super high in the draft just based on what I've seen.
Yeah, I wonder what his prospect is. Like now that the combine is wrapped up, I'm sure they're going to start scoring these guys and predicting their draft. But I don't know if they've got all that out yet. I mean, obviously the combine just happened.
Yeah, I honestly I haven't looked, but have you? Speaking of the combine, have you kept track of anything or looked at anything in terms of like how players are doing?
I saw some stuff come through with notable things like people running really fast 40s. Your boy Sadiq out of Oregon, I know had like a big vertical jump and a pretty fast 40-yard time. And man, I mean, I've told you this before. We've talked about Kenyon Sadiq, but that guy is a physical freak. And I think if I recall, you talked to me because you watch Oregon a lot more, but his stats weren't overly impressive, and it's because they had another tight end that was also very good. I think that they split time with, right?
Yeah.
It just feels like this guy could be an absolute monster for a team, even if they have to develop him a little bit. Like he's already primed with his athleticism to be a beast. So,
Yeah. Definitely. They underutilized him. They had Jeremiah Johnson, who's back this year. Another freak, super tall. He's like 6'7" or something. Crazy, like super tall dude, athletic. But yeah, I don't know. Like their offense, I'm not gonna lie, Oregon didn't really ever have great tight ends
mhm.
prior to Terrence Ferguson, which I don't know if you are familiar with his name,
Huh?
but he got drafted by I think it was the Rams, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty
That
sure
sounds right. Yeah.
he got drafted pretty high up actually, but he was really good. He was like kind of one of those surprising guys where I was like, wow, we actually have a tight end now. Then Sadiq, and I was like, wow, this guy's even better than him. Like he seemed, when he was the backup, I was like, whenever they'd put him in, I'd be like, he's famous for the first time people probably ever heard of him is when he hurdled the guy in the Big Ten championship. He hurdled
Mm.
some Penn State guy. And everyone was like, who the hell is this guy? He's an animal. And I was like, that's their backup tight end, which is crazy. Yeah, but yeah, he ran apparently the fastest 40 ever clocked by a tight end at 4.39,
Damn. Okay.
which that's pretty crazy. But did you see? I'm not as familiar with this guy, but the quarterback from Arkansas, his name's Talon Green. He ran a 4.36 40.
No. Holy shit. A quarterback did?
Yeah. Yeah. I was
So
like,
that guy's going to be an NFL wide receiver, is what you're telling me.
maybe. I don't honestly, I'm not familiar enough with him to know if like he was actually that good. I just
Yeah.
know if you look him up in College Football 26, the video game,
Hmm.
he's a freak in that game.
Is he?
Like yeah, I looked up his like overall and all that and like his speed and all that stuff. Like I mean, from athleticism, he's like crazy in that game. So it
Hmm.
makes sense.
Interesting. Did I
But
did I see
yeah.
that is Philip Rivers' son? Is he entering college football or is he entering he's entering college football, right? Oh yeah, no. That I know what that is. Yeah, Philip Rivers' son is going to be a quarterback at North Carolina State, which
Oh,
explains why I saw that because I live in the Raleigh area, which I thought was
mm.
really interesting. So yeah, that's what it is. He verbally committed to coming to NC State to be their quarterback. And I just thought that was really interesting because I didn't really I mean, I know Philip Rivers has a bunch of kids, but I didn't really realize he had sons that were like old enough to enter college football already.
Yeah, I mean, he probably made a comeback to get that insurance, and then now he's relying on his son. Like, hey, if you make it to the pros, you can then be the insurance guy for
There
us.
you go. Yeah, I'm looking him up. It's Gunnar Rivers. He was a 4-star quarterback. So
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah. Anyway, that was a super aside. For some reason, I couldn't remember if he was going to college or pros, and yeah, just college, just starting out his college career.
So one thing that I am curious about with the combine is what are your overall thoughts on the NFL combine? Do you think it is just one of those things, way to like objectively measure some like how physical and athletic people are? Or does it actually from like an NFL perspective, does it actually matter? Is really what I'm
Um,
asking.
I think that parts of it can matter situationally. Like for example, if you've got a guy who played at a smaller school and was like breaking big runs for touchdowns, but you weren't sure if he was like actually fast, for example, because he was playing against kind of lesser tiered schools, it can maybe confirm some things for you. Like, oh yeah, this guy is really fast, or maybe it can put some glaring deficiencies out there, like, holy shit, this guy can't jump, like the little things like that.
Yeah.
But what it doesn't really do anything to show you is like football IQ and how the pieces come together and how someone plays in the complete game with the full team and bodies around them. So I don't know, man, because like we just talked about clutch athletes, right? And I know for a fact from playing sports that there are times where you just feel it, right? Like you're envisioning success is happening around you, and it has nothing to do with how fast you can run in a straight line with a bunch of people clocking your timer and taking photos of you. And so I don't know. I think it's a way to get excited about players. I think it's a way to, let's say you're dead tied on two guys and you're not really sure what to do. Like, should I trade up for this guy, or can we get someone of similar size and speed or whatever you're looking for later in the draft where we don't have to trade? It can maybe help you to clock some physical things in an objective way, but I don't think that it tells you much of the story of somebody's ability to play the game of football.
Yeah. So it's kind of more of a way to measure certain things for athletes, but it's maybe more on the athleticism and the, how strong are they right now? How athletic are they? How fast are they? Rather than, the actual football IQ and strategy and that sort of thing.
Yeah. And I think one of the tricky things is there's not everyone participates in the combine, and really nobody participates in every single drill of the combine. And so it could also mask some deficiencies, because if I know I'm really good at something and I only perform those drills because I know I'm good at them, it can like hyperinflate what people think a player can do because they're not having to show their deficiencies either. And so it's a weird thing where I think that there is some utilization for it, but I think it's overblown, and I don't think it matters as much as what we see. And in fact, I think it's just a way to bring hype around the sport and to build up hype for the draft more than anything else.
Okay, so what about this? If you could redesign the NFL Combine to make it better or more to showcase what people actually know in terms of football, or their, how they play the game, what would you change about it?
Well, I think there has to be like some actual element of playing football involved. So I don't know if you have like 7-on-7 drills or something similar like that, or maybe 1-on-1 drills with a defender and a wide receiver who are both up for the draft. And again, that only covers those two positions, but there's got to be some element of competitiveness to it to really see how someone responds to the actual game. And I think the only way to truly see that is to actually just play football. But obviously you don't want to risk injuries and things like that. So I don't know if there's drills where you can involve more players in a mostly safe environment, but yeah, I just feel like if you just have someone run in a straight line, it's not going to tell you how good they can run a route, for example. If you only have them do the catching drill, that still might not show you like how well they can get off of press coverage. Like there's all these other caveats that can exist. So I don't know. I don't have the answer, and I don't think anyone does, which is why we have the combine. But I do think that it is overblown.
Well, I'm also curious though, like, why is it only an NFL thing? Why doesn't the NBA have a combine? Why doesn't the MLB? You know what I mean? It's like only one sport that has something like this to my knowledge. And maybe the other sports have something, but it's not like as big or broadcasted, but it just seems a little bit odd.
Yep, I agree. And I would argue that you have to be better. You have to have, there's more things you have to do well in football, depending on what position you play, than any other sport. And so to do a combine where we focus in on specific things feels really weird to me.
Yeah. But I don't know. It is interesting. It's interesting concept.
It's fun to follow along. Like I love to see, my favorite things to follow are the vertical jump and then the 40-yard dash, because it's like, damn, okay, this guy can cook. And this guy who was only 5'8" can jump 45 inches. So height doesn't matter quite as much for them. Like there's just little things like that can kind of come out. But then it's like, well, how can they do that while they're running a route? Can they do that while they're double covered? How do they catch a ball that's contested? And so it creates more questions too.
It's almost just like they're measuring their Madden ratings for like
literally
athleticism.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. They just want to get their Madden ratings correct.
Something. I don't know.
But I think one of the things that I find really fascinating about it is how much they reference it on the draft night.
Yeah.
They'll show like 3 clips that show like from college, and they just keep talking about their combine stats.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, there is kind of this weird lull between, when the Super Bowl ends, then the draft, and it's like, February slash then March. So I think that part of why they do it is for money and for
Hmm.
views, because there is that weird, like, okay, there's nothing for a month. And it's almost like to get it more relevant right before the draft. I
Well, and
think
they
that that's kind of part of it too.
and it's also timed really close to when free agency opens up as well. And
Yeah.
so it's almost like, is this happening to encourage people to either like sign that player that they want or let that player go because they can see some other stuff? But in reality, it really, I don't think, should change the way people are viewing how to manage their teams at this point in the process. They should already have scouting reports on all these players, and these little statistics shouldn't really change the way you add or remove players from your current roster.
Yeah. Well, speaking of college athletes, did you see I know last week we kind of talked about a tragic story, but the quarterback from Colorado, I think his name is Dominique Pinder. Did you see what happened to him?
Yeah, that was a rough one, and out of nowhere, I saw that he passed away this weekend. I think from a car accident, and that I didn't know anything about it other than a notification from ESPN, and I was like, I had to double take and read it again.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that's just crazy, man. I mean, I think I read he was like, what was he, 22, 23, pretty young guy, and he was a senior, I think. Like he was just kind of starting, I think, the last year of his career, if I recall.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's weird because at least the stories that I saw or whatever is reported on pretty much said that he was driving his car at like 3 a.m. So number one, it's kind of like, okay, I mean, a little abnormal
Yeah,
why you're driving at 3 a.m. So
right,
they didn't really say anything of there's no context. Like, is there alcohol? Is there anything
right.
involved? Or it's literally just, a kid being a kid and driving at 3 a.m. for whatever reason. But
Hmm.
pretty much I think he just like his car hit an electric pole and it like caught on fire and stuff, and so he was like literally
Jeez.
pronounced dead at the scene because it like slid down a bank and all this stuff. And so yeah, I
Holy
mean, very
cow.
very tragic. But I mean, and not that like we need to know the context, but it's kind of one of those weird mysteries of like, was he like drunk, was he on
Yeah.
drugs, was he literally just out on like a stroll, and it just kind of like something weird happened. But that
Yeah.
it always makes me wonder, like, what was the scenario? Was he, like, texting or something? Or, like,
Yeah, who knows? I mean,
uh
could have been coming home from hanging out with friends or like a girlfriend or something, or who knows. But the one thing I did recall seeing was that there was something about police saying they thought that high speeds were a factor. So part of me wonders if this was just like a guy just driving too fast and had just a genuine accident. And I haven't seen any reason to believe otherwise. But
yeah,
just like you said, a real tragedy, and what an unexpected thing to have happen to someone that's that young, and to the program, and obviously his family and friends, and just a couple of reminders these past couple of weeks about how fragile life is, even for people that are in the spotlight.
yeah. Sucks, man. I mean, sucks obviously with it for it to happen to anybody out there, but I think someone like this, when you're on a team, you're part of, like, a community, a tight-knit team like that where, you're
Hmm.
you're really you're going to college, obviously, but you're there to play sports and all that kinda stuff. And I know that definitely changes things from a team dynamic. Like, I've heard, there's been, like, a few Oregon players that have passed away tragically in the past few years, and I've just seen some of the like videos they post online about stuff that they do after that happens, and obviously it's sad, and it kind of like feel like it like brings the team together
Yeah.
in a weird way.
Yeah. I mean, I would think so. It gives them a higher bond that they have all experienced together. Right. And
Yeah,
I can't imagine what it's like if I've not had to go through something like that, but yeah, that's horrible.
yeah. Um, I know. So last week we talked a little bit about your boy Sean Strickland that
My
was in the
boy.
that was that was in the news for various reasons, mainly press conference and fight and all the stuff that was controversial. But did you see
Always is.
the video of Maxx Crosby and him sparring?
I know. I don't think I saw that.
So I don't know like it's kind of, again, some of the context is not really there. You just kind of, at least from what I saw, it was just a video. But basically, they're in a UFC ring for whatever reason. I don't really know how these collaborations happen like this, right? Like you got an NFL defensive lineman and then
It's because
and a
they're all in
UFC
Vegas.
fighter.
They're all in
Yeah,
Vegas.
that's true. That's true. Actually, that makes more sense now that you say that. But pretty much they're, it seems like they're kind of like messing around for a little bit. And then I don't know if like Max Crosby actually like hit him or something. Like he kind of got serious for a second. And then Strickland just kind of like low key, like, not like he didn't like knock him out or anything, but he just kind of like, you can tell he got like a little pissed. And so he starts like, he starts like legit, like going after him. And you could just tell. And it's crazy because Max Crosby is a big dude. You know what I mean? Like he's a scary guy for like an
Uh-huh.
NFL player. Like, I mean, his job's to hit people, but you just, I think it puts into perspective the difference between a fighter and a football player when you see
Yeah.
something like that.
I just watched it while you were talking, and Crosby had like a bloody nose after that while he was walking off. And I think the craziest thing about watching that video is like exactly what you just said, the difference between a fighter and a football player. Like when Strickland started actually throwing hard punches, it was like Crosby didn't know what to do. He just started like backing away and like had his arms down like he was like basically like, stop fighting me, like I give up.
He's like, I tackle people, I don't hit them in the face, I don't punch them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is kind of wild, especially like you said. I mean, Crosby's bigger than Strickland is, but just a different type of human being in these fighting organizations.
Yeah, like, I mean, like we said last week, I feel like you have to kind of be a little bit of a psychopath to be a
Oh yeah.
fighter, to be fair,
Yeah.
psychologically. So I don't know, man. It's all interesting. I also saw something about, well, actually, no, you said you had mentioned this to me about something that came out today with franchise tags in the NFL.
Yeah, franchise tags are obviously a big topic every offseason. And for better or for worse, I know we talked about this last year. Like, is it a way to trap a player on your team? Is it a good thing for the player, good for the organization? And in a way, I think that it can be either or both. But certainly in some situations, it's kind of a way to like lock down a guy that doesn't actually want to play for you anymore and hasn't signed a long-term deal.
Yeah.
And so some notable ones that have happened, the biggest one that I feel sad for, Brees Hall franchise tagged by the Jets just today.
Mm.
And Brees Hall, notably last season, was like, I don't remember if he explicitly was like begging teams to trade for him or just like making comments that seemed like he wanted to be traded on his social media. But he's basically just going to waste on this Jets team and like the prime of his career. He's a really good running back. And it just seems like he has some sort of misalignment with the team. They're not using him as well as they did the previous couple of years. It's like he doesn't want to be there. It's just this weird thing. And I think all of us fantasy football enthusiasts were looking forward to seeing where Brees Hall might end up this offseason. And it
Yeah.
turns out he's going right back where he was because he was franchise tagged and is trapped with the Jets. What do you think about that?
So what was he was supposed to become a free agent then this year?
Yeah, I think this was going to be like his first free agency after his rookie deal.
Hmm. I don't know. It's don't get me wrong. Like, is one of these weird phenomenon, and I know we've talked about this with a couple other players. Like, I think we talked about it with some of the Raiders players, and other things. It's like you feel bad to an extent, but at the same time, it's like, what do you do? You know what I mean? Like, either your
Hmm.
team's going to get better because they're going to get better, they're going to sign better players, they're going to get a better coach, they're going to get better GM, whatever. Or unfortunately, like some of these guys, they're so good coming out of college, they go to these dump teams because those teams have high picks. And then if the team doesn't do well, like the Jets have not been for, what is it, like 30 years now, 20 years, whatever. I mean, what
Yeah.
can you do? You know what I mean? Like, not everybody can go to a good team. So it's like some
Yeah.
of the really good players are going to have to go to dog teams. And maybe they'll be able to get a trade at some point, and maybe they'll be able to get on a better team like Sam Darnold and win a Super Bowl. Like,
Hmm.
what else? What other choice do you have, right?
Yeah, I mean, there is no choice other than holding out, which doesn't historically go well. Usually that's not a great strategy for a player. One of the things that's interesting about Brees Hall is after they franchise tagged him, he posted something on his social media. The quote was, always been the type to bet on myself, been working, dot, dot, dot. See y'all soon. Love. with like a fingers crossed emoji. And so I'm like, what does that mean? Like betting on yourself as in you're going to like hold out and make them give you a contract, betting on yourself as in you're going to play on this franchise tag and earn the big long-term deal. Like I'm really confused about what that means, but
Yeah.
it is just such a fascinating thing for a guy who has seemed unhappy, cryptically unhappy with his team to now be stuck with them again. You know, it kind
Yeah.
of felt like this was the year he was going to get free of that.
Can you okay, like put it into perspective though. Can you imagine playing a sport for most of your life and being like that freakishly good to where, you're one of not many people in the whole world that can make it to become a professional. So you go to college, you do high school, you're, clearly a star. You
Hmm.
go to college, you're clearly a star at some point. And then you go to the NFL and you have to play for a dog shit team. Like how demoralizing would that be on a like weekly basis?
Oh yeah, it'd be terrible, and especially a team that feels directionless. Like that team feels so lost, like they don't know what to do to correct the ship. And their big solution last year was getting Justin Fields, and then that obviously didn't work. And then he got benched, and then their other great player on offense, Garrett Wilson, got hurt and was out for the year. And it was just like, dude, I'm stuck on this team with no quarterback, no wide receiver, and defenses knowing that I'm going to run the ball. And he still had over 1,000 yards rushing and
Hmm.
like 300 yards receiving. Like he still had a good year, even despite that. Even if it was, in my opinion, it was a successful year than the year prior. But yeah, just like, man, imagine this guy on a team with an offensive line. Like imagine him on the Eagles or a team like that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. It is a weird situation to be in. Like, I don't know what else they can do other than bring Vinny Testaverde or Chad Pennington out of retirement at this point. Because I think we've said this many times. Unfortunately, it starts with the quarterback, and they have had quarterback issues for a while.
But yeah,
They have
I
not been
feel like
able to figure that out.
their most stable quarterback in the last 2 decades was probably Mark Sanchez. And that says a lot.
Yeah.
That says a whole lot.
Didn't he stab a guy recently?
I think it was out of self-defense or something, but
I heard different takes to the story, so I don't actually know it's true. But
I haven't heard anything about that in a while, and I feel like there should have been some follow-up on that, right?
I thought I just saw something. I mean, it's just
No,
random,
he was
because you said his
stabbed.
name. He was stabbed?
That's right. He was the one that was stabbed. But
Oh, I
it was
thought he stabbed
but he
someone.
apparently got stabbed out of self-defense. Apparently he was attacking
Uh,
this guy. That's what it was.
so he was stabbing somebody, or he was attacking them, and then they stabbed him?
I don't think he was stabbing them. I think he was like trying to fight somebody or do something, and then that guy started stabbing him. It was like a weird thing. This is me just going off the cuff, but I think he was like trying to like attack like a truck driver or something. And I can't remember if he was like trying to rip him out of the truck or something. And then the dude just started stabbing him. I forgot all about that and haven't heard anything about it in a while.
Just imagine you're like driving down the highway somewhere. You see an altercation happening where a guy is pulling a guy out of a truck, and it's just Mark Sanchez. Can
Dude,
you imagine, man?
I just remember when that story dropped and I was just like, oh shit, Mark Sanchez got stabbed last night. What the hell? And then I found out the next day, I was like, oh, he like started a fight with this guy and then he got stabbed. It says, I
That's
just looked
so
this up. He's
random.
facing charges for felony battery and 3 misdemeanors after he got into a fight with a truck driver outside of a hotel.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Also, like, how do you get into a fight with well, I mean, that's a whole rabbit hole we can go down, but that's so random.
It also says that he was possibly under the influence of cocaine, fentanyl, marijuana, and alcohol at the time of the altercation.
Okay, now it's adding up.
It's starting to make more sense. Yep.
It's
That's
like, oh,
crazy.
random truck driver, I'm on coke, let's fight. I don't know, man. That stuff's wild to me. But
Yeah. But other franchise tag news, Daniel Jones franchise tagged. His was a transitional tag, which I don't fully understand the meaning of, but from my understanding, it's like
oh,
you get tagged, but there's like some leeway to like negotiate the longer term deal like during the tag time.
so wait, was he tagged by the Giants?
No, by the Colts.
Right, but what do you mean transitional? I thought you were saying he was tagged by the Giants and then they transitioned something to the
No, so
Colts.
he got franchise tagged today from the Colts because his contract was going to run out maybe next year. I think they like preemptively tagged him to negotiate a new deal. I'll have to look that up, like what the difference between like a regular and transitional franchise tag is. But from my understanding, this is a tag that basically like restructured his salary for just this year while they work on a longer term deal. Because I think his contract was up after this upcoming year, if I remember, but don't quote me on that. It might have been this year.
Okay.
And then other big names.
Pickens, right, was the other one?
Yeah, Pickens was a big one. The Cowboys are trying to figure out, after he was so good last year, how are we going to pay him and CeeDee Lamb and Dak and all these other players? And their solution to that was they gave him the franchise tag to buy themselves one more year to figure that out. And I have seen that they are trimming some salary in other areas by restructuring some contracts. And so I'm wondering if this was to buy them time to get through that process to then maybe try and get Pickens for a long-term deal. But we'll see. But man, Pickens actually seems happy there, unlike his entire time in Pittsburgh where he seemed miserable. So I hope it works out for him. And another big one, tight end. Yeah, really. He really wasn't this year. Yeah. And then tight end Kyle Pitts for the Falcons, also franchise tagged, and didn't hear anything else other than that happened for that one.
That one's weird. I don't know. That guy's been kind of a weird player.
He finally had a good year this past year. And he's a physical freak when it comes to tight end. He should be really, really good, and he just hasn't been. So it's just very weird.
I hope Sadiq's not like him.
But hey, some big names that were not franchise tagged that people thought they might be. Big one here, Trey Hendrickson for the Bengals. You know, all the drama. You remember all the drama with him and them potentially nearly losing him last season. And now that it's almost like guarantee, right, that they're not going to keep him now that he's not franchise tagged, he's going to hit free agency.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which is another just big loss for them as far as their defense sucks and their offense can't carry the team.
Yep.
Colts wide receiver who had he was a deep threat last year, had a good amount of touchdowns. Alec Pierce, not franchise tagged because they used it on Daniel Jones. So that's a big one. The Super Bowl MVP, Kenneth Walker, not franchise tagged, will be hitting free agency. And another big running back, Travis Etienne from Jacksonville, is going to be hitting free agency as well. So lots of question marks out there at running back. There's some other big running backs out there that are going to be free agents. Rashad White, Tyler Algier, Aaron Jones. So there's going to be a handful of running backs out there that are going to be switching teams most likely this offseason.
Yeah, that should be interesting. It's always fun when you see a good number of reasonable players out there and have them switch teams. To see if they can, like we talked about with Breece Hall, if they can make a name for themselves somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes it's just all about the system that you land in, right? Like some players just play better in other systems. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, speaking of systems, March Madness is coming, right? We have Selection Sunday will be in a couple weekends from now. I think it's March 15th, if I'm not mistaken. So we don't have to talk too in depth about it today because, once we get a little more info on the bracket, I'm sure we can do a bracket like we did last year. We did like the free ESPN one or whatever and posted it for people. But I did something interesting, and I know we've done some of these in the past just to kind of get an idea of the world of artificial intelligence and AI. So I asked ChatGPT, based on how things are going right now, to predict for us who would be in the Final Four for March Madness this year and who they thought would be in the finals and who would win the game. So it told us Kansas, UConn, Duke, and Houston, and it said the finals would be Kansas versus UConn, and Kansas will win.
Interesting.
So we'll have to see. I think we should revisit it maybe once the bracket's actually, up and running, so we can have an idea of where people are seated. I think UConn will probably be one. Duke will probably be one. Kansas, I don't think Kansas will be a one. I feel like they'll be like from what I've seen, a 3 or a 4 maybe.
Yeah, I mean, in the overall rankings, they're ranked like 14 right now. So that's kind of a bold prediction for ChatGPT to think they're going to win the whole March Madness tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised by it, but I was really surprised it didn't have Michigan in the Final Four or the championship based on how they've played in their, just general
hating ass GPT.
I would imagine. Well, I'd imagine there's a lot of like news on them of how how well they've been playing. So I'm
Yeah, I
like,
mean they're ranked
huh,
third in the country right now, and they're tied in record with the other two teams ahead of them. So just kind
yeah,
of a weird thing to be excluded. But at the end of the day, I don't always pick favorites, and it appears Chat GPT is not doing that either.
yeah. Well, we've seen it be pretty wrong though, right? For college football, it was pretty horrifically wrong in
Yeah,
terms of
yeah,
when we
it
asked
loved
it,
Clemson this last year, and how did that work out?
and Penn State.
Yeah, well, so did I. What a
Oh
mistake!
yeah, that's right. I
What
keep
a mistake!
forgetting. I keep forgetting about that. That's I don't know. I should never let that or never let you live that down. But we all make mistakes.
We do. Yep.
But hey, they were supposed to be really good. To be fair, I mean, it's not like it was a long shot. It's just I don't know. Shit just kind of fell apart there randomly.
It really did. Lots of shit fell
So
apart. Hmm.
yeah. Well, it was you can thank Oregon. I think they started the wrecking of the ship when they
They
beat them
did.
at home.
And TikTok
So
let me know all about it.
oh man. Well, do you want to do some picks and then get out of here?
Yes, sir. We're talking golf, right?
Yeah, we've been doing
Ooh.
golf pretty consistently here just because it's the one that I think you and I at least watch and are involved in the most from a like fantasy perspective.
Yeah.
We have a really good one this weekend, the Arnold Palmer Invitational. It's one of the more, I would say, cool courses, pretty challenging. A lot of history. Obviously, Arnold Palmer is a super historic
Hmm.
player, and a lot of meaning to this one. So we have a very, very different looking field from what we saw last week, where it was like, picking needles out of a haystack pretty much.
Dude, speaking of that, I know we talked about how it was pretty light last week.
Hmm.
Only 8 of the top 50 world ranked players played last week. That's how bad it was.
Yeah. Well, a lot of them withdrew too. Did you see that? There was
Yeah.
like 4 or 5 people that were in that top tier that were like, yeah, I'm out.
Yep.
It's like,
Yep.
oh, okay. All right, so I did change it up just a little. I actually looked at DraftKings odds, and so we're going, based off of what's there, and also what are the available bets that are on DraftKings, just
Yeah.
in case people are interested in something like that. So the first one is end of first round leader, which is always an interesting one to try to predict. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, definitely not Scottie. He doesn't play golf on Thursdays this year. I'm going to go with, give me end of day one. Give me Nap.
Okay. Do you know what his? I'm looking at what the odds are for him.
I don't know his betting odds. I know in fantasy draft, in the daily draft, he's not super high. He's 8,600.
Yeah, I mean he's higher than at least from what I'm seeing. I don't see his name even on the list. Like it doesn't show every. Oh yeah, plus 4,000
Oh my
for that
gosh.
for that
Wow.
bet. Yeah, but just to give you an idea, Scottie is plus 1050 and Xander's next at plus or Rory is next at plus 2050. So the
Jeez.
odds are pretty horrible for this because it's very hard to predict.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna say I'm gonna try to pick someone a little bit different here. That's not as I will not say well known, but give me Akshay Bhatia. I feel like he's a guy that sometimes comes out of the gate pretty hot and then for whatever reason can't finish. So,
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
what about one guy in the top 20 for
Top
finish?
20. Matt Fitzpatrick, top 20 this weekend,
Okay, I was
which might
looking
be a
at
bit
what
of a
his.
cop out answer, but I think that's a safe bet.
I'm trying to see what his actual odds are in here. Let's see if I can find it real quick. He is minus 118 for that. Wow.
Okay, so nearly even money. Maybe I'll make that bet.
Yeah. I'm going to go Cam Young. He's plus 110. I like
Ooh,
that.
I like that too.
He's been playing pretty good. What about one in the top 5?
Give me Xander this week. I feel like he's been flirting with the top 5 a lot lately,
Yeah.
and maybe he puts it together this week.
Okay. He's plus 430 for that.
Okay.
I'm going to go with your boy Jake Knapp plus 720. He's been,
Dang,
I don't
okay.
know, man. He's been there. I feel like he's on the verge of something. So I feel like I like him as a top 5 this week with
It,
not very good odds, but, it's a hard one to predict.
while you have the odds up, what is Goddard up for top 5?
I don't think he is playing, plus 840.
Ooh, I might make that bet.
Wow.
I might make that
I
bet.
mean, that's kind of, potentially a steal based on if he he didn't make the cut last week, but whatever the week he played
Yeah,
more
2 weeks ago
recently,
he
but
missed the cut, but man, other than that, he's played dynamite this year.
yeah. What about, outright winner?
That's a tough one.
And you can't say Scottie.
Give me Goddard up for that since I didn't say him for top 5.
I am going to pick a guy that I never pick in DraftKings because every time I pick him, he screws me over. So give me Hideki.
Ooh, okay. He's been playing good this year.
Yep, he almost won at, I think it was Waste Management. Yeah. No, was it Waste Management?
I
What
think,
was the one where he got screwed over? Was it Waste Management? Yeah, Goddard beat him.
Yeah, in the playoff. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he was there. He just kind of screwed himself over at the end, but he's plus 3,500. And who did you say again?
Goddard up.
Goddard up is plus 4,500. Wow.
Jeez.
Could you imagine if you hit one of these, man? Jeez.
Bro, if you just put $1 on Goddard up, you would win $45 if he wins. Like, that's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, it's like roulette. Just pick like 5 guys.
Literally, it's like roulette. That's so funny.
5 guys, put $1 on each.
Yeah.
We're not recommending that people do that, but just it's an idea. I don't know, man, but should be a good one. I'm looking forward to this. I'm actually going to be out of town at the coaches conference, so I might not be able to watch a ton other than maybe Sunday on this one. Might be able to see the finale here, but
do you know what it really caught my eye with this one this weekend? It just goes to show you how far and above Scottie Scheffler really has become of all other golfers. If you look at the daily fantasy on DraftKings, for budget, he is 14,100 this week. Now, I remember last year, he was always the highest, but then there would be like Rory right behind him at like, I don't know, like 13,600 or something, like just like 500 behind him or something. This week, Scheffler's 14,100 and Rory is 11,600. So literally $2,500 cheaper is the next closest golfer. Like, that is insane to me that's how much Scottie Scheffler costs. It almost makes him like unchoosable.
Yeah. You can pick him, but then you're going to have to pick some absolute trash guy and,
and just hope, It's like, hope and pray.
Yeah. I'm not saying there's not people in the middle that you can balance it out with, but DraftKings weekly is a lot about making the most people make the cut and having them finish. You know what I mean? You get like so many bonus points for them finishing in like the top 5. So that's super important. So it's like, yeah, you could pick Scottie. He might finish in the top 10, but unless he wins it and you have like 5 out of 6 guys make the cut,
you're
going to be screwed. So
it's definitely an interesting way to watch golf, but I kind of like it because I can always try and pick everyone other than Scottie and just hope for the best.
I don't actually know that many people though in our league pick him, to be honest. I really don't.
No, I think
last year
people did. Yeah, this year I haven't seen a lot of it.
There's been a lot of fade though. Like, I don't really want to pick him; he's too expensive. But I don't know. But hopefully it's a good one. Looking forward to seeing what happens and getting back next week to chat more.
Yes, sir. Really quick on the Scottie train. 68 consecutive cuts made. Tiger Woods' was like 142 or 146. So Scottie's not even halfway there to getting to Tiger's. That's crazy.
Yeah. That will take him like 4 more years, 5 more years he'd have to make in a row.
Yeah, that's actually insane.
Some shit. How many do they play? They probably play 20 a year, and maybe that's a lot. 20, 25 a year on average.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't play in every single one. I feel like Tiger did play in a lot of random ones, but if you're playing 20 per year, that's going to take you 4
years. Yeah.
He's going to have to make the cut for 4 years in a row, every single event. He can do it, but that's crazy.
Yeah, that would be pretty wild.
You're telling me he's not going to have one bad round in 4 years?
He's had a few bad rounds this year and somehow still made the cut, which is hard to believe.
True. So, all right, famo. Well, we'll catch you next week.
Cheers, brother. See ya.
Cheers.